Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another new edition of Africa Today, where we get you the latest news and events taking place on the African scene. And we start off with our special reports. Sudan's warring parties resume peace talks in Juba this week, as organizers said they aim to make more compromises for the sake of achieving peace and prosperity for the people of Sudan. We have more details in the following report.
Sudan's warring parties resumed talks in Juba of South Sudan on Monday, with regional call for parties to exercise political will to resolve conflict. In his opening remarks, South Sudanese President Salva Kiir, who is the host of the peace talks between Sudan's Transitional Sovereign Council and armed groups, said the negotiations took place as a result of Juba's commitment to work for peace and restore stability. Kiir urged the Sudanese negotiating parties to have political will and make more compromises for the sake of achieving peace and prosperity for the people of Sudan. Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni hailed the Sudanese parties for accepting dialogue as a means to find a solution to their country's political crisis. He urged the Sudanese parties to consider their national identity and unite their different political ideologies in an effort to achieve public interest in building a prosperous Sudan. Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed called on the Intergovernmental Authority on Development (IGAD) to support Sudan's peace talks, urging Sudanese warring parties to exhibit a commitment to solving their problems through dialogue.
Welcome back, and moving on to Mozambique. Mozambique began voting in a general election on Tuesday that some fear could test the country's fragile peace after a heated campaign marred by violence and allegations of electoral fraud. We have the story.
Polls for Mozambique's general election opened on Tuesday at 5 GMT. Some 13 million Mozambicans are to select a president of the republic, 250 deputies, 10 governors, and members of provincial assemblies. Many fear the election could test the country's fragile peace after a heated campaign marred by violence. The situation escalated last week when the head of a local election observation mission was shot dead by members of a special police. Reports say President Filipe Nyusi is tipped as the favorite of the presidential race. However, his government is plagued by crisis. His Mozambique Liberation Front, Frelimo, in power since independence, plunged the country into a serious financial crisis after a $2 billion hidden debt was revealed in 2016. Preliminary results are expected to be announced on Thursday.
Scientists have successfully created 2 embryos from the northern white rhino, a crucial turning point in the race to save the majestic animal from extinction. The last 2 northern white rhinos left worldwide, Fatu and Najin, are both female and living at the Ol Pajeta Conservancy in Kenya. The last male Sudan died last year, raising fears the subspecies is on the verge of extinction. We have the story.
The quest to create 2 embryos using cells from the 2 remaining female northern white rhinos and frozen cells from deceased males is a success. This simply means renewed hope for the fate of the northern white rhino in Kenya. Scientists say that if Fatu is not killed by someone, then they can produce 20 to 30 embryos in the duration of the biorescue project. The international team working on this project in Italy is pleased with progress thus far. The 2 embryos are now stored in liquid nitrogen and will be transferred into a southern white rhino, who will act as a surrogate mother in the near future. Thomas Hildebrandt is head of Department of Reproduction Management, Leibniz Institute for Zoo and Wildlife Research and Biorescue Project head. He says he thinks there is a potential new life demonstrated by these new northern white rhino embryos, as an incredible example of hope, adding that it is a demonstration that the human race is not only destroying the planet, they can find alternatives to restore what was done wrong in the past. The northern white rhino is on the verge of extinction, but this latest turn raises further hopes that the species will survive. The ultimate aim is to create a herd of at least 5 animals that could be returned to their natural habitat in Africa. Now, this could take many years.
Welcome back, dear viewers, and on the current situation in Sudan, we're joined over the phone by Dr. Salah Abdullah, political analyst. Good afternoon, Dr. Abdullah.
Good afternoon, welcome.
Sir, how hopeful are you for the talks between Sudan's warring parties in Juba?
Well, now the Sudan after Bashir is starting to solve the problem. One of the major problems of Sudan is the civil war between the military groups and the Sudanese army, which long time ago it disturbed the country, and many of the income of the Sudanese countries just went away because of this war. Nowadays, President Salva Kiir in Juba received the representative of the High Council in Sudan and the representatives of 8 military groups which agree to have peace talks with the Sudanese authorities. Of course, there is many pushes in the world, especially from the African leaders, for the success of this meeting. Here in Egypt, we are pushing, President Sisi are pushing towards the success of these meetings. Also, the President of Uganda, also he directed a speech for the Sudanese groups for peace talks, for trying to make success in the talks. Mr. Abiy Ahmed, the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, also is sharing in trying for the success of the meeting. Of course, President Salva Kiir is doing his best in that direction. Anyhow, it appears that the meetings are successful up till now, and there is 3 main files will be discussed between the Sudanese authorities and these 8 groups. One is the military file or the security file. One is the humanity file. The third one is the file for the reorganization of the military groups within the Sudanese army. Of course, the question of the prisoners and those who have sentenced death from the leaders of the military groups, there is agreement for releasing the prisoners, and those who have sentenced death will be vanished. And in the same time, there is agreement to stop all the military aggression between the groups and the Sudanese army, trying to have a quiet situation to help in the success of these 3 main files, which will be discussed in the few coming days.
Right. Dr. Salah Abdullah, political analyst, many thanks for your insights, sir. And dear viewers, with this we come to the end of this edition of Africa Today. Many thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more coming up here on Al TV International.